very good morning to everyone. First of all, I'm going to share my journey with you today here, my journey to the Olympics, about my academy and a little bit of my learnings. And it's a coincidence for me today that I'm going to be sharing my journey, and Saina Nehwal very recently has become the world #1 in women's badminton. So it's a proud moment for me to be here. Before I start my talk, I want to tell all of you that I'm just a simple guy, just like anyone out there, and I come from Pune. I started my badminton career. I started playing at the age of 8 here in Pune itself, and after a couple of years, I started winning at a district and state level. And though I could never really do well at a national level, and of course, it was a very tough time for me, because when especially in India, we have to take a call between education and sports, and for me the most important thing was my parents' support. My parents were extremely supportive when I started my career, and throughout my career, my dad being a scientist, my mother working in a bank, they supported me throughout. And that's when I was in the 10th standard, I was a good student. We had to take a tough call on whether I should continue badminton or whether I should take up studies, and my parents were very supportive there. By the age of 15, I got selected in the Prakash Padukone Academy in Bangalore, and that's where I had to go through a lot of grueling training. I got to stay with a lot of other top stars, and I was still doing well, but I was still not winning at a national level. I always had a dream of going to the Olympics. I still remember there was a time when somebody asked me here in Pune, what is it that you want to achieve? And I was probably 15, 16, and I said, I want to go to the Olympics. And the person, well, he said in Marathi, I still remember, "Paila te saga जाऊ दे, paila या local level ला जिंकून दाखव." Okay, so, but that stuck with me, and I never gave up. The most important thing for me was I just wanted to do it, and even while in Bangalore, it was very hard training. Once we start, then finally at the age of 18, 19, I got selected for the Indian team, and that's the first time I represented our country. And I played the US Open finals. I was a Commonwealth silver medalist. And then somewhere down the line, this was in 1999, I realized that since I'm doing pretty well, I have a good chance to try for the 2000 Sydney Olympics. And that's where I started playing a lot of tournaments, and funding was not so much during those times. It was a very tough time. Of course, there was good family support, and by March 2000, I managed to break into the top 45 in the world. But I thought I was going to make it for the Olympics, but to my disappointment, I missed the Sydney Olympics by 1 place. And it was like a shock, a big shock to me, because Olympics is something which I had always dreamed of. Anyone who's been in sport, Olympics is the pinnacle of success for a sportsman, even to be there. And that was a great disappointment for me, because of course it comes every 4 years. Then to add to the disappointment, I fell ill, and I had a liver problem, and I was out of badminton for a year. And for a sportsman, when every second counts, losing a year is like as good as you're done with it. So, but of course I never gave up. I still remembered my dream. I was here in Pune at home thinking, what is it that I'm going to do now? It took me a year to recover from that, and finally I got back to badminton in May 2001, and within a year and a half I was able to come back to being ranked in top 2 in India and the top 50 in the world. And I had a lot of support again from my family, and I was playing for a club in Germany. Funding was scarce during those times, because it's not like now where you have a lot of foundations and a lot of other things there for sports people. But I had my dream in front of me. I did want to give it a shot again for the Olympics, and then in 2003 I played a lot of tournaments, and eventually finally I managed to qualify for the 2004 Athens Olympics, which was my dream come true at that point of time. Thank you. Now, moving forward, when I stopped playing badminton, when I retired from the sport in 2010, I always had this dream of giving back to the sport, because when I was a kid, I had to leave Pune at the age of 15 to pursue my career. And it was always my dream that for the kids in Pune, Maharashtra, we should have a kind of center where those kids don't have to go outside to develop their career. And in fact, with that in mind and with the government support, I started the Nikhil Kanetkar Badminton Academy, and coincidentally today on the 11th of April it happens to be our 4th year that we started the academy. And so now when it came to the academy, I had to start from scratch, because being a player and being a coach were two different things. Just because I was playing good badminton did not ensure that I'm going to be a good coach, and for that I had to unlearn and relearn everything right from scratch. So basically I visited a lot of centers and tried to take whatever lessons I could from there. And most of the centers that sporting academies normally cater to the elite selected kids, but here I wanted to do something different, and that's where we started different levels of coaching, right from beginners level to advanced levels. And I had to really sit down and devise different kinds of training techniques for them. I had to change the way of my teaching, because I personally believe that it's very important to get the kids to be self-motivated in doing what they're doing. For example, it's very important that they wake up and they would want to go for the training sessions themselves rather than having to be pushed to go. So self-motivation for the kids was a very important thing. That's where I devised the training techniques. Also, it was very important for me to understand how much to push the kids, when to pull back. All these things over a period of time I had to look into. The result being eventually after 4 years, today we have 2 India number ones in the under 15 girls and under 15 boys category. And of course still there's a long way to go. This was another dream come true, where the intention of the academy was to groom talent to make champions. And I think we have achieved that to some small extent. So with all these things, a couple of things that I would like to share with you is that first of all, the dream that I had first of being an Olympian and later to give back to the sport, that was very, very strong. So I think it's very, very important to have a dream. It's very important to pursue your passion, whatever it is. I was a sportsman, but it could be related to anything. Having that passion and commitment towards your dream day in and day out is something which is extremely important. Dedication is also extremely important, because you have to wake up every morning and keep going at it until you succeed. But when I think of all these things, it's even when I used to listen to somebody talk, it used to inspire me for a day, 2 days a week, but then I was back to normal. So to sum it up, I used to when I look at my career, again I'm saying that it's very important for you to understand that I was just like any one of you. I wasn't a great sportsman, I wasn't a great person. I started from scratch. I'm still learning every day, and the most important thing that I sum it up is that it's important to focus on the present moment when you're pursuing anything, because that is very important, to be able to do it day in and day out for weeks, for months, for years, until you reach that level of success. That is why I think today whatever I have been able to achieve, I was able to do that. And so when it comes to the power of focus or the power of now, I would like to just end my speech with a quote, which basically goes something like this: the past is history, the future a mystery, the gift is now. That's why it's called the present. Thank you very much.